What's up, guys? So we just hit the milestone of 5,000 miles on the Z900, and I know everybody is wanting to know the answer to one question, and that is, would I buy this bike again? And the answer to that is very simple: absolutely. And with that being said, this bike is everything that I could ever ask for. It's only my second bike, and of course I did a lot of research based off the type of bike that I wanted and the kind of riding I was going to be doing. But when it comes down to it, I've said it once, I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it again after this: if you like riding motorcycles, anything on two wheels you're most likely going to have fun with. Granted, there are types of bikes that do specific things, but for me, the Z900 is absolutely flawless, and I'll tell you why. So I bought the Z900 because I wanted a motorcycle that is easy to get around town with and still has plenty of power. It's lightweight, it's nimble, it's fun to take in the twisties, has plenty of power down low, plenty of usable power at that, and the Z900 is totally capable of all of that. I think the only thing that I think the Z900 is not capable of is taking some super long, say week or 2 week long touring trip across the United States or anywhere at that. And that's just because there's really, it's very basic, you know. There's not any cruise control, the technology is pretty basic, but that's all I wanted for the bike. Like, I don't need that stuff on a daily basis, just riding around town having fun. If I was touring, I would definitely want that kind of stuff. But in terms of commuting and just getting around town and having fun, I only commute about once a week. It's about 50 miles there, 50 miles back, a total of about 2 hours, and I gotta say that I have absolutely no issues commuting on this bike. Only once a week. I actually look forward to doing that every week. It's kind of like a fun little ride that I get to take every week as a work trip, and you know, it's fun, it's enjoyable. I'm not sore afterwards. The bike's totally capable on the highway. There's no issues. The wind isn't even that bad, even with this lower windscreen. The reason I haven't upgraded it is because the wind from this hits me about right in the chest, whereas I think a taller windscreen would hit me up high in the helmet and would kind of make my head more like a bobblehead and make my neck sore. So the way the wind hits me in the chest is totally fine on the highway, higher speeds. It's easy to sit back and tuck in on the bike if you're going a lot faster, and I have no issues commuting on this bike, even though it's only once a week. I'm sure somebody that commutes maybe 30 minutes a day or an hour a day would have no problem as a daily driver for this bike, and I would honestly recommend it if that's something that you're getting into. But past the commuting aspect, for using this bike as an actual daily driver, I mostly use this bike, I'd say 90% of the time, for enjoyment. I'm just riding, I'm going out and riding just because I enjoy riding, I enjoy the bike, and for everything involved with that, I absolutely have no issues with the Z900. The power, the lower end torque is great. It's still probably not as torquey in the low end as, say, the MT-09, but the top end still has plenty of power. Like, I think I've gotten this bike up to a top speed just near 150. I could probably push it just a little bit further, but that's also bone stock. I don't have any work done to the engine on this bike, no exhaust, no nothing, and I gotta say, I'm honestly very content with the power output and everything else regarding this bike. The brakes, I really have nothing to complain about, although I think every bike is going to have some sort of small customizations that you can do to fit each person individually. You know, everybody's hand placements wants to be different, their foot placement wants to be different, and all of that is pretty easily changed. So overall, in terms of this bike coming straight from the factory, there's not a lot that you have to do with it, which is why I think this bike is such a great starter bike, in the sense that if you want to buy a motorcycle, not as your first bike, maybe this is your second bike like mine. I mean starter bike in the sense that you want to buy a motorcycle and you don't have a whole bunch of extra money to make a bunch of upgrades and do all this other stuff to it and get an exhaust and, you know, really do a good job upgrading the bike. You don't just want to spend, you know, half the cost on cheap Chinese parts. At least that's my opinion. So if that's the kind of position you're in, then I think the Z900 would be a great choice. And on top of all that, of course, the bike just looks like a beast. I've had people come up to me and they're like, well, do you ride it like it looks? And you know, most of those people don't really ride motorcycles. They don't even have any clue the power of this bike, but it does look so sick in my opinion. And the colorway that I have with the red trellis frame really pops. I'm always a big black and red colorway guy, so I kind of had to jump on it when I saw that they were releasing this colorway. And you really just can't beat the Kawasaki inline 4. The sound, even with the stock exhaust, I'm content with it. You know, up above 8,000 RPMs, it still gets up there. She purrs. And even though a full exhaust system would just be absolutely amazing, I would rather save my money for something a little bit more quality. You know, I've had my eye on the FC Project, full titanium system, but then you got to flash the ECU, you got to get it tuned. And you know, it adds up to be a lot of money, which kind of goes back to the point of, from the factory, this bike is a very solid choice in my opinion. Alright guys, well I think that is going to do it for the 5,000 mile review of my Kawasaki Z900. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to stick around for the 10,000 mile review. I don't think it'll take very long, and I think my opinions will probably stay the exact same. But anyways, make sure you drop a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. Follow me on Instagram, and we're saying peace out.